Welcome back.
Hey everybody, what's up?
So, there's the puppies.
Our neighbor dogs. So she likes to bark whenever we're going to start videos.
Or whenever she hears our voice. She's like, oh look, there they go again. Anyways, tonight's topic is how I have a bone to pick with Brian. Well,
I dropped my hand.
you better use a strong one.
Like, oh wait, it's not fell off. I didn't.
No. Tonight's video is going to be on a much more fun topic. A much more festive one, if you can see the little pumpkin. Probably not. Tonight's topic is going to be on Halloween, or Samhain, or as we celebrate it in the Ash, Birch, and Willow tradition, Gadrian. But for the video's sake and topic of, let's all be on the same page here, we're just going to refer and call it Samhain. Which comes from the old Celtic words meaning summer and end. Anything you'd like to add?
I forgot. The dog got me distracted. I'm like, I wonder what she's doing.
You poor thing. I love you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But I do love you.
But yeah, no, in other traditions, it's also known in Strega tradition as Shadowfest. And in Mexico and traditional practice around the time is Day of the Dead.
And All Souls Day and All Souls Night.
All Souls Night.
Aside from that, back on Shadowfest, it's a celebration of the procreative forces of darkness, or the darker half of the year. For Day of the Dead, there is celebration of honored dead, saints, spirits, and then there's the celebration of the honored ancestors. Now, at this time of season, there's a lot of focus on the underworld, and that's because we're focusing on a lot of the death mysteries. Things going back into the earth to be reborn again. It's kind of like when we were all in school and we take biology, how they talk about the life cycle. This is, actually that's honestly one of the things I kind of visualized whenever I first started practicing witchcraft and other things, was the life cycle from biology textbooks. It's explaining kind of like the great mysteries that they're talking about throughout these books and practices.
Yeah, it has a little diagram in some biology books how it shows like an animal eating, dead, decaying, grass, and then it's just kind of like going in a weird state in this big cycle.
Yeah, and so that's also something else that like really spawned a big curiosity for witchcraft and other forms of spiritual practices for me too. What is something that you that you like to focus on at the time of season?
Usually for me, it's always usually about spirit communication. So it's fun.
Yeah. For me, it's more like honoring the ancestors, because at this time of year, the veil between the worlds is thinner. It's not like communication the rest of the year is completely unapproachable, because it's able to be done. And it's also a thinner veil around the time of Beltane, or Midway as we'd call it. But
Beltane's going on right currently on the other side of the planet.
So all of you in the southern hemisphere, happy Beltane. And everyone in the northern, happy Samhain. Ooh.
I feel like next time we gotta have some confetti or something.
I know, like kapow. So what are some ways that you would like to communicate with the ancestors on this night?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of different ways that I practice spirit communication, because I also practice some mediumship. One is I talk to them. So
he's like, ta-da.
Yeah, and somebody had actually asked on another video about how to develop the abilities to communication and everything like that, and that's a whole other topic in itself. It's actually really fascinating, so it's probably going to be a video topic in the future. But one of the best parts, one of the easiest things is setting up an ancestor altar.
And so if you don't have one up all year round, I've seen other people do it more like a small shrine for the day as an honorary for them, and they'll keep it in the ritual area if you're practicing something more close to Wicca or witchcraft. I would put it in the western quarter, but that's me. I've also done a lot of other rituals, like within working even with Santissima, and even in some LHP stuff, anytime I'm working with the dead, I've always worked with them in the west. Also, I kind of associate them with the west because the waters go down into the ground, and the ocean, which is the largest body of water where I am, is furthest west of me, is much closer to me than the Atlantic.
That's true.
one other way to communicate with the ancestors is the Ouija board. Or, as Parker Brothers has made it,
A Ouija board.
a real board.
This one's actually, I got at a secondhand store. Yep, it was broken.
Apparently, because when you were talking, when we were, I'm not trying to blame you.
Well,
When we were,
yeah, we were playing it when we first got it, and it kept going like Z-O, like constantly and everything like that. And so we were making fun of it.
and then it started going Z-A-Z-A-Z-A-Z-A, and
Yeah.
we're like, ooh.
Yeah, we started making more fun of it and stopped talking to us.
I know, I was like,
So, but I remember not too long after that, we started hearing about a spirit that was like doing that to different
Yeah.
boards and everything like that.
yeah, Zozo or something. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, we annoyed it. That's all I could think. I was
Yeah,
like,
because it just like stopped talking to us. Then it was like, who's this Zozo? I'm like, I think it's Zaza's cousin.
I know. I was like,
We talk a lot of smack in general.
yeah. But we also cleanse the place regularly too. So it's like, whoops.
Yeah.
Um,
We're in a position that we can talk smack.
yeah. At least with what we're calling. A lot of them are just friends. Aside from that, what is something that you always kind of associate with the practices of Samhain or history of the holiday?
There's so much.
What are key points for you? Your favorite top 3? Or things that come to mind?
My favorite top 3? Oh, definitely the rituals. But from a religious standpoint, or a spiritual standpoint, the rituals. Honoring of the ancestors, communicating with the dead, doing divinations for the upcoming year.
It's also more like a remembrance of those who came before you. Because without your ancestors going through all the trials, the tribulations, the hardships, and also the joys and everything that they went through in life, you wouldn't be here. None of us would be here. So it's more like as a thank you, an offering of that, and also honoring it. And also being able to see where you came from and to be proud of it. And to continue on that legacy.
Planchette, sorry.
Ooh, automatic writing planchette. It's got a hole in the top. It's for your pen.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would say, like I said earlier, you could set up a temporary shrine to your ancestors if you don't have one up year round.
Which is probably what we'll do. Because I like to work with with spirits in general. But I don't necessarily have room in the temple because of how much stuff we have in there, and we have
a lot of stuff going on.
We have a lot of stuff going on in different areas of our apartment.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyways, that's why we do a temporary one at that time of season. And for the ritual. If you don't set one up, you can definitely bring in items or relics, if you will, of your ancestors. Like if they had a necklace, pictures of them, photos, things like that. And you can place offerings next to those or in front of those. So I would say to give things that they would like. If they were someone that smoked cigarettes, you can give them cigarettes. If they like coffee, you can give them coffee. Things like that. Candy. Common practice was giving fava beans. Fava plants are associated with the underworld and spirits of the dead. The flower itself for the fava plant or the fava beans plant is white, and it has a small little black spot on it. They say that is from when the god of the land of the dead came up and touched it. And that's where his finger touched the plant, so it has a little black spot of death upon it. It was also really common in some parts of Southern Europe and Italy where the church would find fava bean soup was commonly passed around and laid out in the streets as offering at that time of year, that they started giving it out to the people that were needy to gain converts. And that was made popular by, I wrote the Pope down here, Pope Gregory II. Yes, I made a little note for you guys.
Yeah, fava beans, on a side note, is also used a lot in the practice of hoodoo and root working, the American diaspora tradition of magic that's common here in the United States. That goes off into several different branches in itself too. But with fava beans, in that tradition, in that system, they can be used for good luck. They can be used in strega practice for communing with your ancestors and for divination practices, given as offerings. A common practice too is to place them on, if I remember right, St. Anthony's altar on his feast day. St. Joseph?
I can't remember.
I can't remember, but
We'll put it up here somewhere.
Yeah. But you put the beans on the altar during the feast day, and then you pass them out as good luck charms. But the little side piece where the thingy is, it's supposed to be a mouth. So that way, hence the divination aspect and everything like that.
It be talking.
Now, with fava beans, you can actually find them at grocery stores. They're also known as broad beans, mojo wishing beans,
Lucky beans.
lucky beans. They go by a couple different names, broad beans, stuff like that. But you can usually find them in the grocery store.
Yeah, I think they were labeled as fava beans. Yeah, we went to Los Altos Ranch Market.
Yeah, so we gotta take you guys shopping one of these days with us. So that's always fun.
Ooh, like a magic GoPro. What else were we gonna? Oh, is there any recommended reading that you have for this season as well too?
There's always recommended reading for this time of season. First, I would recommend, obviously, Raymond Gramassi's work. Ways of the Stray. He goes a lot into the practice of Shadowfest and working, with a lot of that system, which we have here.
And it's now reprinted as Italian Witchcraft.
Italian Witchcraft, but I love the cover on this one. So
I don't think this one's in print anymore.
It's not.
You need to get a new copy before you ruin that one.
Yeah.
Because it's also signed.
Yeah, I love these books.
I call him out on it too. He calls me out too. My recommendation is Encyclopedia of Wicca and Witchcraft, also by Raymond Gramassi. If you need further reading beyond that, he does list his sources.
This one's signed too. Funny story is that when Raven was here, we're set for Pagan Pride. They had gone to California for some side stuff, and then they had to pass back through Phoenix. So when they came back through Phoenix, we hung out with them at their hotel, and because we kept asking him to sign the books, so I'll sign some of our books. So he's like, okay. So we show up with these two big big bags from the grocery store.
The recyclable grocery bags?
Yeah, that were full of just his books.
He was looking at it like, oh, you okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I said I would.
Yeah, so we had him sitting there for like about an hour and a half, and he's just like writing.
And he's like,
you can tell
they
which
have
ones.
all that. They had them.
Yeah, you can tell which ones he started with because they had little messages, and after a while, it's like Brian and Auntie.
Dad and Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see which ones. So.
Yeah, I was like.
But yeah, that was a fun night.
And then that's the one you were going to recommend. Hereditary Witchcraft by Raymond Gramassi.
And this one goes into the Strega practice as well.
It gives you opening rituals, closing rituals, Sabbath rituals,
Yeah, goes
and
into
background spells.
He goes into like divination practices and stuff like that.
Also, history and lore is touched upon too, which I would highly recommend. Other books that kind of go over basics and intros, definitely Raymond Buckland's Complete Book of Witchcraft.
I love that book too. That's a fun book to read. I kind of want to get another copy of it.
Yeah, a fresh copy. Let me think of what else. What are some correspondences that you associate with the season besides Fava Beans, like I mentioned?
Definitely colors: orange, black, russets, colors of decay, things
Red.
that are coming to an end.
I would say red too because of the blood, the honoring of the ancestors, the life force there. Orange because the time of season reflects nature and that around you. So those fall tones, think of it in that way if it's easier. Deities I would associate with the time of season would be like the gods of the underworld: Hades, Dis, Persephone, Mictlantecuhtli, Mictlantecuhtli.
Cananos. Hades, you said Hades.
Pluto. Ereshkigal, who is also mentioned in the PGM, but also you could act out in ritual the descent of the goddess Inanna.
Which is actually a common practice with a lot of traditions. I've seen some ceremonial magic groups do it. Some ceremonial magic groups will have like celebratory stuff during these times as well. And they'll do those rituals. So they're kind of cool to see. It's fun. Yeah.
I like that. Personally, I like seeing other people and the way that they practice and the way other traditions practice. It's really fascinating to me. Might not be something I practice, but it's almost like a little gift getting to see it.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me! No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, one thing that I definitely do like about the season is the costumes.
Now, why were costumes worn?
It's a word off the boogeyman.
Ooh, the booger man. No, so spirits and beings couldn't follow you home and recognize you.
Yeah, that way you would get recognized. And back during the time too, it was believed that similar things would cure similar things. So if you're dressed frightful and scary, get frightful and scary stuff, and we're like, oh, it's with us. Okay, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
So you can walk amongst them, allegedly.
Also, the Cowans, non-magic folk, I couldn't help myself, wouldn't recognize you either if you're going to and from a festival like that, a festival celebration of the Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and there's a lot of documentaries that go into like the history and how bats became associated with it because of bonfires, and bonfires would attract bugs, and bugs would attract bats, and so there would be bats flying all over the place, that
Mm-hmm.
sort of thing.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think I ever thought about it.
Yeah.
And then, what were you saying about pumpkins earlier?
Oh yeah, the original symbol is Ireland when the holiday was brought over by the to the United States by immigrants. It was to carve turnips, but turnips were too hard. I've never tried to carve one. We keep saying we're going to get one.
We just haven't. We keep forgetting. And we're at the grocery store like a couple hours ago too, ironically.
Yeah. So usually those would get carved, and you would put like a little candle or something on the inside of it to light it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess when people started coming over here, pumpkins were in season for their full growing cycle by this time by Halloween. So people were like, okay, let's try carving that, and so it was a lot easier to carve. So they started doing that. The documentary I watched on it this morning said it so much more elegantly though.
Ooh, elegance. And then you were telling me something too that I thought was amazing about, and I'm specifically pointing it out because I love this, the ghost costume.
So, I was watching this same documentary this morning. It was on just like one of the generic Halloween ones that comes on. Look up YouTube Halloween documentaries. And also look up Halloween cartoons. Treat yourself.
Mm-hmm. I love a YouTube.
So, I guess the Halloween costumes were the sheets that were put over a person, or there were remnants of the death shroud that was commonly used. And so when the hood was put over the person, originally back in the 30s and like the 20s when the costumes were homemade, there would be a rope around the neck because that's how shrouds were worn. And they would use it to tie the bodies up.
I like that.
So it would look something like... And then there'd be a rope around here.
Something like date night.
Right?
Just kidding.
I was like, whoa, he just pulled a hood out of it.
Also, you can blend into the shadows. Now, other things that I would associate with the season would be how in many cultures it's common to bake breads into shapes of the dead. Make sugary sweets into the shapes of the dead. It's common for Dia de los Muertos. They do it for All Souls Day. Yep, sugar skulls. They do it for All Souls Day in Italy as well too, and in other parts of Europe it's common practice as well. Other things I would recommend too would be inviting your ancestors in during ritual. Of course, if you know how to do so. Anything you do is on you, not our responsibility, but please follow caution within your own tradition.
And if you don't get along with somebody that's on the other side,
Don't invite them. You don't need you didn't need their negativity when they were here. You don't need their negativity when they're there. And when they're there but here.
Just because they crossed over to the other side doesn't mean they became wiser or more enlightened.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes they completely move on and they're just not going to come through. It happens, but that's also good for them. Yeah. Common sense that you would associate with the season? Pumpkin spice! No, just kidding.
I want to say take candy from strangers.
Maybe not.
It's Halloween.
Oh yeah, huh? Maybe you just have to ring the bell first. Mm-hmm. If you don't say the magic words, then it's taking candy from strangers.
Yeah, you gotta say the magic words first.
No, we're not responsible for anything that happens either. That's on you.
Let's see. What was the question again?
What sense would you associate with this season?
As in common sense or smells?
Smells, like for incense,
okay, that
herbs,
makes sense.
apple cider.
Okay. Pomegranates.
Mm-hmm. Pomegranates,
apple,
cinnamon,
nutmeg, cloves.
Earthy scents like bergamot.
Yeah, pumpkin spice. Don't burn. Don't smell like pumpkin spice when you burn it.
Don't burn it. Get a room spray or a wax melting thingy.
Yeah. Yeah, the majority of pumpkin spice or pumpkin scented stuff that's out there is mostly cinnamon.
Yeah, cinnamon, And like sometimes nutmeg.
and ginger.
Yeah.
But it's going to vary, so just don't burn it. But
Yeah.
our time is up, so we're going to have to let you guys go.
But as always, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Bye bye. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
Oh, and don't forget to check out Instagram.
Toad and Broom.
Anxious Witch Brian.
And Lunar Boy 93.
So,
Until next time, happy
Happy
Witches New Year and happy Halloween.
happy Halloween. We really are out of sync all of a sudden.
I know. You're trying to copy me and you're doing it wrong. No, just kidding. Okay, guys.
Okay. We'll see you guys
Bye-bye.
later. Bye. Be safe. Toodaloo.